Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube space. This is the real OG. If you are watching for the very first time, thank you so much, and please support me by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss subsequent videos from me. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You are the real MVP. Today's video is a day at the poultry. Let's get right into it. As you might have observed, I have wood shavings on the floor, though some farmers prefer wood dust, also known as sawdust. What does this do, you might ask? Well, it traps the dropping or waste from birds, so the ground or the floor doesn't get dirty on time. And it also traps water. Sometimes water might pour on the floor, it traps it so the ground doesn't get wet. And other times the ground can be cold. You don't want your birds stepping on cold ground, especially when they are still very tender. So the dust helps them. It serves like a covering on the floor. So instead of matching the bare floor, they match on the wood shaving, so they don't get direct contact to the cold floor. As you can see, we have feeders and drinkers. The drinkers are on the slab while the feeders are on the floor. You might ask, what are feeders and what are drinkers? The drinkers are the white and the red rubber you're seeing on the slab, while the feeders rather are the aluminium stuff on the floor where their food is placed. Okay, drinkers where water is placed so that they can drink water. The birds, we just brought them from the brooding room currently into the poultry. The poultry is divided into 4. I'll do a detailed video tour, like a tour of the main poultry. I'll do a detailed video on that later in subsequent videos. The birds just left the brooding room into the main poultry, and we kept them in one partition. You might say, oh, they are too crowded in this partition. Not really, they aren't crowded in the partition, just that they are still tender, and normal we're supposed to provide warmth for them in form of charcoal or gas, for them to keep warm. But we didn't do that. That's why we had to put them in one partition so they can generate heat among themselves. And if you notice, the tarpaulin around the poultry is down. We didn't take them up, they are down, so that the air within the poultry is trapped there and it retains its warmth, instead of taking it up and allowing air to come in. And this place, because of the location of the poultry, it is quite airy, and if you're not careful, your birds can catch a cold. We don't want that happening to our birds. Okay, currently they are all struggling to drink water. That's because we starved them of water before bringing them down to the main poultry, because we wanted to give them the Lasota vaccine. If you don't starve them of water, when they get here, they won't want to drink the vaccine, and they need to drink the vaccine, or rather they need to drink the water with the vaccine in the next 30 minutes of you putting that vaccine in the water. If not, the vaccine becomes useless, it becomes ineffective. So you want them to stay off water so that they get very thirsty. As soon as you put the water, they all have to drink, they have to rush the water. So that's what's happening here. You can see them struggling to drink water, which is a good one. So when they are done with this, then we get to give them fresh water. And then they've all taken the water, and you're sure that they'll be very, very safe against the Newcastle disease. By the way, I forgot to mention that the birds are just 3 weeks. Okay, they stayed in the brooding room for the first to the second week. Then at the 3rd week, we had to transfer them over to the poultry because of space. They've outgrown the brooding room, so they need all the space that they can get, so that as they are putting on weight, they get to add, and they have space that will allow them to put on the weight they want to put on and grow very well. poultry now. We're about to feed the birds. It's very cool. You can see the tarpaulins are still down. It rained cats and dogs this morning. It's very cold and they are still quite fragile, so the tarpaulins are still down. Probably when the sun comes out later, which we don't know if it will, fingers crossed, we'll take the tarpaulins. But for now, they stay this way because of cold. Even me, I'm still very cold, so we're about to feed them. So come along. You would observe me taking feed from one bag into the other bag and mixing it up. That's me taking starter and adding it to finisher, because we're trying to introduce them to finisher at the moment. So we don't just give them the finisher, or we don't just introduce them to the finisher like that. So gradually, it's a gradual process. We introduce them to the finisher gradually. So I have to take from the bag of starter into that of the finisher, mix it up, and start putting in their feeders, though it has to contain more of the starter, which is more of powder, you get, while the finisher is pellets, so they get introduced to it gradually. Poultry business is one business you can start small and grow on the business. You don't need to wait until you have it all figured out or you have all the structures in place before starting. You can start from a room. Like I started from a room in the house, before we got two very big structures to accommodate our birds. So you can start small and grow on the business. You could start with 50 birds, 100 birds. When I started with 70 birds, and like so we kept growing. Currently we do 300, 400, 500, 800 or 1,000 birds depending on the festivities around the corner. So at the moment we've separated the birds into two partitions because they have outgrown the first partition where they were all in, and we separated them into male and female. That way it will be very easy for customers that are coming to buy to identify the male and the female. Very easy for them to do so. So if you've watched up to this point, I am super grateful. Thank you for sticking with me on this video. Please, if you have any question concerning the poultry business, do well to drop your questions in the comment section. I'll try my best to supply answers to them. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.